Good afternoon and welcome to Find Your Sparkle with Jen, where you'll be inspired, informed, and influenced. I'm your host, Jennifer Stewart, owner of Jazz Potential and creator of Find Your Sparkle. And today I have to say I am very excited to have my good friend, Jessica Tookey, here with us. And she right now is residing in Maine temporarily. And we're going to have a really great conversation with Jessica. Jessica is an amazing intuitive artist who is super, super talented. And we'll talk a little bit about that. She discovered a couple of years ago that she can use both hands, which is really cool. And she's an amazing coach. And she's been living a different kind of life that some of us would really love to live and maybe fantasize about living, but actually doing it might be a whole different story. But Jessica is actually doing it and has been living this life now for how many years, Jess? 3, I think.
Coming up on 2 years.
On 2 years?
Since 2019.
2019. So let's get a little bit of a sense of who you are and what happened in your life to start you on this amazing journey that you're on.
Okay. So thank you for having me back. I'm excited to be here again. I started just living the life that was expected of me. I am an artist, and I always wanted to be an artist when I grew up. And as I grew, as we tell our children, oh, but what are you going to do for a real job? And so I went into teaching, and which blessings to all teachers going back to school right now. I enjoyed it at first, but then it eventually started feeling too constrictive. And I was also in a relationship that was slowly killing. And I had to distance myself thanks to some choices that he had made that allowed me to find myself and find my truth. It made me hit rock bottom first, and it was a real struggle to continue to keep my feet planted on this earth. But once I made the decision and I found my peace and I was able to leave that relationship, I started having all sorts of amazing things happen in my life.
That's amazing. Can we go back for just 1 sec? Just because I know that it's hard to have, that's such a huge, huge life change. And I know that there are people out there who might be in a situation where they're thinking like, I'm not living the life I want, but I'm afraid. Can you talk a little bit about, what was happening when that decision that changed everything and your rock bottom a little bit?
So I'll take you to the very rock bottom. So I've always struggled with suicidal thoughts my whole life. It was just something that was with me. And I started an exhibit called Words Matter that is about suicide awareness. And it was through that I started attending seminars and workshops and learned that suicide is a genetic trait. And then my family started opening up and saying, oh yeah, you have a great aunt that ended her life. And this aunt and uncle have both struggled. And so it became this whole thing where it was like, oh,
wow,
now it makes sense why as a child I was having these thoughts and I just never understood. I just always felt like things would be easier if I just left. And so when my ex came home and said, and this was at that point we had been together for 19 years, and I thought things were starting to get better because I was making an effort to do more with him and do the things he enjoyed. So I was doing things on his schedule that he liked, not listening to myself. And I still felt a weird energy, like something was off. Well, he came home one day and said that he had started a relationship with someone else. And at first I smiled and I had to leave the room because I didn't understand that my body was saying, this is it. You have your out, because my heart and my brain, I'm one of those people that will be loyal to the end.
Oh,
but I was miserable and my body was like, yay, you're free. But it was after that initial moment, I went, oh no, how do I do this on my own? Because I had left my teaching career. I was just doing my art full time and not making big bucks for my paintings yet at that point. And so it was just oh, I can't do this alone. We're going to have to work it out. And so then we stayed together for another year after that point. But that year was such a blessing for me because it allowed me to go deep within and heal. So after that initial blow, after that initial, I can't do this, what's the point? I failed again, all the thoughts
Mhm.
that come up, I went, okay, what do I enjoy? And I started doing the things I enjoy. And suddenly I'm waking up to go for a bicycle ride and watch the sunrise on my own.
Mm.
He and I were basically separated for that entire year, but it was still that financial safety for me to
Right.
find my confidence so that when it was time, and it wasn't even quite a year, I think it was about 10 months. Um, by the time that I had decided I was done with walking on eggshells in my own home, um, I just said, I'm not doing this anymore. I respect myself more
Mm.
than having to put myself through a relationship where I am treated as if I can be just cast aside whenever you feel like it. And it took a lot of I was doing the hypnosis sessions with Joseph Clough. He has a
Yeah.
wonderful app out there. I was reading tons. I was doing tons of self care for my physical body. For the first time, I was actually taking care of my body and making sure I was exercising and doing all the things because then it's raising your endorphins and getting your brain chemistry all worked
Mhm.
out if you're taking care of your physical form. I was meditating. So I just started doing everything I could, doing all the healing modalities, and just really taking care of myself. And that's why I was able to just fully step into this life that I now live.
I love that. Do you remember, was there a point where you said, I have to make a difference that started you on that self-care, like an epiphany or anything that happened, like, I can't do this anymore. I need to move forward, make a change, and take charge back of my life.
I think it was during my morning bike rides to go watch the sunset.
Mm.
It was just the word rise kept coming up over and over. And I've never been a morning person. So just automatically waking up, no alarm whatsoever, and going for that sunrise, it was just the universe saying, it's time to rise. It's time to move and help others because I was able to come out of that dark space and now I can lead others out as well.
Oh my golly. And you are so amazing at it. You've got a really awesome, and I'm kind of skipping over here, but just because
Yeah.
you talked about that, you have a really amazing Facebook group where you are very authentic, where you're very vulnerable, where you're sharing really totally from your heart. Can you talk a little bit about that, and what inspires you to do that, and how do you feel about putting yourself out there, Jessica, really being vulnerable like that, because it's
Right.
scary.
Yeah, that started a few years before the big crash of 2018. It I had started doing a lot of Facebook lives and just sharing on mental health because of that exhibit that I had started.
Mhm.
And people always said, well, why suicide? Why is this your platform? And I'd say, well, it's something that's always been a part of me. And I want to help other people know that they're not alone. And it was nagging at me for the past couple of years, really, that I needed to create this community for people to come into and just find a way to love their life. And so it's called Unlock Your Dream Life, because I'm going with Tookey. You have keys, you have to unlock something.
Oh, there you go. Perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. I love it, love it.
So it was just a way to help show people on a free platform, different, give them different ideas on how they can find the life they love, or just, and it's not even necessarily leaving a relationship, it's not leaving a job, it's not changing anything outside yourself, it's all within. So it's all about finding that peace within and getting yourself aligned and centered. Then the things around you that no longer align going to fall away, and wonderful things will start showing up in your path.
I love that. Can you talk about what do you mean when you say get in alignment with things? So people may be wondering, what does that mean exactly? And what do you mean things that aren't in alignment falling away? Can you talk a little bit about
Right.
your experience in that?
Yes. So if you pay attention to your body, which I hadn't paid attention for years. When I first met my ex, my body was like in revolt, and I got sick to my stomach, but I ignored everything that was happening. I had that pit in my gut, all the things, but I ignored it because I was a single mom. Well, if we listen to our body, it will tell us when something is out of alignment. And another example, when I left my teaching career, I had gotten to the point where when I would walk into the building, I would get physically ill, whether it was nausea or a migraine that just came out of nowhere. I would walk in, all of a sudden I'm sick as can be, and I'm barely making it through the day. I'm putting a mass email out to the whole district. Does anyone have anything for a migraine? I mean, it was
Wow.
bad. Then when I'd leave the building, I felt fine. So it was my body saying, this is no longer resonating with what you're supposed to be doing. So you will feel it if you're paying attention. Now, to get into alignment, you first have to know where your passions are and what you love and what you really value in this existence. And you have to find those things and then be open to the opportunities that begin to show up that help support those passions, those
Oh my,
dreams, those values.
I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. And we're going to have a quick break, but I am so excited to continue this conversation. You are listening to CIOE, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Find Your Sparkle with Jen. And just before the break, Jessica was talking about getting in alignment and being at her job and listening to her body and tuning into what her body was telling her, and getting back into what you love and what you value. So carry on, Jessica, because I think it's a really important thing. I know for myself, I could relate when you were talking about going to your job and being sick. I had one of those jobs for 2 years. And as soon as I would pull down the road to drive in, my stomach would start turning.
Yeah.
I'd feel like I was going to, it was
Right.
horrible. And I had the same thing. I had migraines all the time, and I had been migraine free for years. And then there they were. And it was a terrible, terrible feeling. And it's tough to be in that. You have to be courageous to be able to say, okay, you know what, this is not good for me. How did you end up having that courage? I mean, listening and finally saying, okay, body, I'm going to tune in and listen.
So I kind of tiptoed out of it at that point because I sat down with my administrators and I said, I had started doing my art by that point and selling. and I was doing a lot of exhibitions. And so I sat down with my administrators and I said, look, this is just really not working for me. The most I can do is give you part time if I do come back next year. So just let me know if that's something you guys would be willing to do. And they were like, yes, whatever you need,
Oh,
just tell us what the schedule looks like for you. And thankfully, this school was on a block schedule. So we had A and B days. And so
good.
what I told them was just an every other day schedule that allows me one day where I can regroup, focus on my business, and then the other day while I'm there. And of course, this allowed me to really take my business, my art to the next level. And by the end of that part time year, I said, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to leave. But I did still volunteer for a year as the art club
Oh,
advisor. So I went in and I would just meet those art kids before school started once a week. So I tiptoed out of it, but I had started making that change back in 2014 was when I really started showing some of my work. And then I started selling skincare just to cover the cost of my canvases. And
mm,
then my paintings are now paying for themselves. And so it was a gradual progression where it made me feel confident enough that yes, I'm making money at this. I can step out of it. I had no clue how to run a business. It's not something I ever had any training in. And so I went full fledged into just all the networking and how to do this and all the business learning and learning social media and all of that so that I could step out and move forward. And getting back to getting yourself into that space of what is it that I am supposed to be doing. So how do you know? Because not everybody knows
no, most of
what,
us don't.
what their sole purpose, what their passion is. And so I tell people, what do you enjoy? What fills you up and lights you up? What makes you sparkle, you might
Mhm.
say? Um,
Yes.
that you really you lose track of time, you lose track of space because you are so into this thing that you're doing. That is your passion, that is your sole purpose. What can you do with that? And then you can find out, okay, is this something that can be monetized? Unfortunately, we have to be able to monetize things in order to survive on this planet as it exists right now. Um, so you start looking at, okay, what do I do now? What's the next step? And you open yourself up to those next steps. And as long as you are doing that thing that you love and living your truth, things will fall into alignment. Things start coming towards you. People will start showing up in your life that know how to do something that you didn't know how to do. Um, Resources will start coming in. It's really quite magical how it all works out. And I wasn't one of those people that was just like, oh, well, you know, flowers and butterflies and it's all magical and if you just put the good thoughts out there, they'll come back to you. I've always believed in love and peace and loving one another, but I did not understand that once you are in that space of being completely in alignment with your truth, everything starts falling into place.
I love that. Now, can you talk about some of those things that have fallen into place for you? Because that's like led you on this amazing journey.
Yes, yes. So after well, actually, it started before I had left my ex. I woke up one morning after I'd had this amazing dream where I was traveling all over, doing my art wherever I wanted. And I was just so lit up by that. But then I opened my
Reality sunk
eyes.
in.
Yeah, I look around the room and I'm like, I can't do that. I have my cats, I have my dogs, I have my studio, the house. What about my family? You know, all of the things of this existence set in. And so I went, oh, well, it would be nice, but it's not possible. I was still married at the time too. Well, a couple months later, I see the whole thing again in a meditation.
Ah.
And I go, okay, but what about my house? What about my studio? I had left my ex, but I was planning on keeping our property because I had a beautiful 600 square foot studio space and just did not see how I could leave all of that behind. What about my dogs? What about my cats? What about my family? Then in a session, I was at a retreat, and in the next session, they took us into a meditation where you had a conversation with your higher self. And the only thing I heard was, is Idaho your home?
Oh.
And so I came out of that and I was like, what does that even mean? Like, what am I supposed to do with this? And so at that point, I asked for signs from the universe. I was like, okay, if I'm supposed to do this, show me 3 yellow birds in the next 7 days. I gave it 7 days. I was in Florida at the time, hadn't seen a single yellow bird. I knew I'd be back in Idaho within that 7 days. So I felt confident that a yellow bird could appear. And by the end of the weekend, so within 2 days, I had seen 12. So I sent my daughter a message and I said, change of plans, gonna sell the house. This is what's going on. This is everything that's happening. And she's so excited for me. So as soon as I made that decision, my daughter, thankfully, is a wonderful realtor in Idaho, so I didn't have to worry about what do I need to do to sell the house. She had everything taken care of. But
Perfect.
suddenly, I find people who are looking for dogs because I didn't really want to live in a small space with animals. I wasn't sure about my cats. I ended up keeping 3 of the 4, and now we're back to 4 because we just adopted a 4th. But um, I all of a sudden people start showing up, and so I get the dogs rehomed. One was a great big one, so he wouldn't have been great in the small space. The other had medical needs, so he wouldn't have been great because I had no idea where I was going, what I was doing. I had never RV'd before. And so I had no idea what I'm looking for. So I start just, okay, what would work for me? I want to have room for a studio. And I started looking into them. And one morning I woke up after having a dream about basically this type of RV, which is a toy hauler. And so the back end is garage space. It's
Oh.
perfect for
Oh.
an art studio. Yes. And
Wow.
I have a deck off the back that is a deck or the ramp for people to roll their four-wheeler or whatever toy is typically held back here.
Right.
But my toys are canvases and my painting supplies.
Wow.
So everything just kept moving forward. Then I met someone who was an RV salesman, and so he was giving me all of the input on what the good ones are and which ones to stay away from and which sales place I should go to in Boise. And so that all fell into place. And I walked onto the lot and I said, well, I'm looking for one of these, but I haven't been able to find them anywhere. Do you have something along those lines? And yes, they had this beautiful thing, which was outside my budget. But then I was just like, oh my gosh, that would be so perfect. And then all of a sudden, the financial abundance starts flowing in, and I have the money to do this beautiful um, toy hauler that has 1.5 bathrooms,
Oh my
and
goodness.
it's everything just kept going. It was like a whole snowball effect. As soon as I made that first decision, this is what I'm doing, everything else fell right into place. And now I've been on the road for 2 years. I had no idea when I left where I was going. Besides, I was headed to the Unstoppable Influence um, Summit
Summit.
in Nashville, Tennessee. And then I knew that was, I think, late October. And then I knew I was going to be at my brother's in Florida for Thanksgiving in November. I had no plans. When I left, I hadn't even planned my route. I just
Oh my
drove
goodness.
off. I stopped at a truck stop and I sat and I listened to the truckers talking. And they said the route this way is closed right now because of a freak snowstorm that came through. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'm going south. And I went the other way. So I just completely opened myself up and I met amazing people as I was rolling along.
I love
So
that. And I hate to do this, but we're running out of time. So if you could, we're going to have a bonus segment that will be uploaded. But for our audience for today, can you sum up for what would you tell people if they were in a position where they weren't sure? What would your one best piece of advice that kind of you can sum up that would help people to, maybe take a step that they've been hesitating in?
um, think about why you're hesitating first. If it's financial reasons, they will come through. Look at your options, which one lights you up, and just do it because that's where the magic happens.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love you. Thank you so much for being here. This has been an amazing, amazing, amazing conversation. And we will talk to you very, very soon. For everyone else, remember to go out and do something that makes you sparkle today and every single day and have that joy in you. And we will see you soon, friends. You're listening to CIOE 97.5 FM. Bye for now.
Okay.
Welcome to the bonus segment with Jessica. Now, I feel like there were so many more things that we didn't get to talk about on that interview. So let's get into, where we kind of left off before we had to stop for the end of the episode, where you were talking about going south. And this is like basically when you were starting your journey, which is where you and I get to meet face to face and hug each other and everything. And then that was the start. So it's very exciting. And I've been following you obviously now for a couple of years, and I just love the growth, but you still have so much to share with us. So I'm going to let you take it away for your journey now.
All right. Yes. So after the summit in Nashville, where we finally got to meet each other face to face, it was really funny because I thought, well, I didn't really get to explore Nashville as much as I wanted, and so I wanted to book a couple more nights. And so I go on and I look at the Nashville campgrounds. Well, what I didn't realize is there is a second Nashville, and I ended up in Nashville, Indiana. And
oh
as
my.
soon as I booked it, I saw the address and I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm coming back to Nashville, Tennessee another day because I just booked a spot in Nashville, Indiana, and I'm going to go check that out. It turns out it was an artist community. And so all sorts of things, all sorts of crazy things like that happened. And so from that summit up to Thanksgiving, when I got to my brother's, I just went off of if I would overhear people talking about different places as I'm having conversations with people, or if I'm sitting in a restaurant having dinner. And mind you, I'm traveling alone at this point. It was just me. I wasn't planning on having any company on this journey. And I hear all these different places, and then I would just plan, okay, where's that on my route? I'm going to go there next. And that's the way the whole thing went. And I met amazing people and really found some cool places all over the country that might not be your typical places that you would go explore. And I also use the website Atlas Obscura a lot to see what cool off the beaten path things were available for you to check out.
I haven't heard of that, so that's a good one, a good thing to know.
Yes, yeah,
Obscura. I have
it's
never heard of it.
Atlas Obscura. And so I found all sorts of really neat things, but non-typical touristy places to go visit. I ended up, one of my first places I stopped right after I left Idaho was a place called Goblin Valley, which is a really cool state park in Utah where we went back this year because it was so amazing. So you heard me say we.
Yeah.
Right. right before I left on this journey, this man was thrown into my path multiple times, and I ignored him, and he kept coming back into my path. And then I ignored him, and he kept coming back. And finally, I gave him my phone number. We talked for a month as I was getting my house ready to sell. And then we had a wonderful month together before I hit the road. And I was in tears and angry with the universe for throwing this amazing human being that was so compatible. It was the first time in my life that I understood how it felt to be loved, respected, adored.
Oh.
And I was so sad when I left, but both of us, he's like, no, you have this journey that you've already decided you're doing this thing. If things are going to work out for us, the universe will find a way to make it work out. So after 2 weeks, we were miserable without one another. And he said, you know, I'm really not doing anything here in Idaho. I could join you if you would like to have me along. And so within a month, he had flown across the country and joined me on the journey. So we've been journeying together ever since, coming up on our 2-year anniversary. But
Wow.
it's one of those things where I asked for signs, like, is this something I should do? Should I bring another human being into this journey with me, or am I supposed to be doing this on my own? And all the signs came, and I'd ask for confirmation and they'd come. And so it was just, okay, we're gonna do this thing and see where it goes. And it's
I
been
have
a
goosebumps.
beautiful, I know. And of course it made all my family and friends feel much better about little me traveling around the US all on my own.
Right. Well,
To
yeah,
have
because that
a,
can be scary. I mean, you're
yeah,
very brave and courageous, and I love that you do that. I mean, I can see, I get the whole picture from the both, you being able to be on your own and having the courage to do it. But yeah, it's nice to have someone there too. But it
yeah.
can, I just have this thought that I have to ask. It's got to be some challenging times though, being in, a confined space. Has it been, or are you guys so compatible that it's totally cool?
We've had a couple of times where there was a little bit of challenge, but really it was results of us triggering one another for something that wasn't even related to what we were going through. So it was something that we were still holding on to from the past that needed cleared out. But no, we are crazy compatible. It's been such a bizarre experience for me to have someone that is just so adult yet so much fun. So
I
much
love it.
fun to be around.
Did he just come in?
He did just come in, so he's like, ugh, but yeah.
He can join in if he wants.
Do you want to join in? No. Yeah, he said he'll come say hello. We're kind of, it's a small space, so it's difficult for him to peek in and say hi without bumping. There he is. Oh.
Hello. Oh, I like your Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yes.
Hi.
Yeah, that
Hi,
was a
I'm
cool
Jen.
place we found in our travels. It's called The Thing, and they talk about how the aliens had come with the dinosaurs and controlled it was like this whole crazy thing that we found in the middle of the desert in California, Arizona,
on our way to California.
Yeah, so it was a really funny, but we couldn't pass up the shirt because there's
no, I guess not. That's very cool. My son would absolutely love that.
Kept going. Every 20 miles or so, we would see a billboard that said, "Have you seen the thing? The thing in the desert, the thing in the desert." So after about 80 or 100 miles, we're like, okay, we're stopping. What is it?
Yeah, you don't have a choice, really. Then
it was a little tourist attraction that was it, a gas station and this thing.
Yeah.
So it was quite fun.
It was very entertaining.
That is fun.
Okay.
All
I just want to say hi. I gotta make that soup.
Yep.
So.
I'm really glad to finally meet you face to face, Jordan.
She said she's happy to finally meet you face to face. All right. So he couldn't really hear your side of the conversation because I have headphones in. But where was I gonna go with that? Oh yeah, so we have teen time on Wednesdays. So we have accepted our first camp host position. So up until this one, we've just been traveling around to wherever we want to go, whenever we want to go. And we had been staying at his grandfather's. We had been parked by his grandfather's house to spend some time with his family in Rhode Island and do some repairs on the RV, because after so many miles, these things start having things break on them. But the Grand Momentum's a great one that doesn't break often, knock on wood. But we had a few repairs to do, so we stopped and just we're hanging out there. But the issue is we were parked right next to the house, and we have one side that has most of our windows, the other side does not, and all of our windows were right up against the house.
Oh.
So needing to save some money in the summers, because I did pick up a part-time online teaching position before I left Idaho. This job fell in my lap, which has been a blessing because then we've got our travel expenses covered.
Right.
I said, okay, find us a camp host position. If you can find something that doesn't require us to work every single day, I need time for myself. I need time to paint. I need time to write. I need time to coach. If they can work around that or the schedule works for me, then let's do it. And he found this amazing place in Maine. So that's why we're currently residing here until October.
Which is amazing. I only wish that you were able to come and visit because you're so close yet so far away.
I know, right? And then back to things falling into alignment. So our big picture, we're not planning on traveling in an RV for the rest of our lives. It is a small space. He's an amazing chef, which I asked the universe for a chef, and this is who I check mark. Because so he would love a bigger kitchen, and I would love to not have my art space with the cat space. So all those things, our end game is somewhere warm that's warm year round with mountains and ocean. So you can imagine where we want to go. We've already looked into which island would suit us best. And so his thought was, when we go over there, I want to work on the charter boats.
Oh, perfect.
I want to work and help people with their scuba diving excursions or whatever. So at this campground here in Maine, right across from us is a man who runs charter boats up here in Maine and then down in the Keys in the winter.
Oh my gosh.
And we were already planning on going down to the Keys for another winter. And so Jordan has a job lined up already on a charter boat. He's already getting training now while we're here. So I
Wow.
can't say it enough. When you step into your passion, into your truth,
Oh
and
my
start
gosh.
doing the things that you desire, everything falls into place.
Oh my golly. That is so incredible. Like
Yes.
it is absolutely incredible. It just, wow. I got goosebumps again. It just, it reminds me when you were saying about Jordan with the chef and the boat and all of that. It reminded me years ago, I met a guy when I went to, when my ex and I were in Mexico, who was had a huge career on Wall Street and gave it all up, sold everything, moved to Mexico and did charter boat. And he's like, this is the best life ever. And I don't
Right?
regret any of it. And it was, he
Yeah.
said, now I don't know why I didn't do it earlier. It's like the timing wasn't right.
Yes.
So can we just talk? I just want to talk. Are there some highlights across this last 2 years that we haven't covered with, things that you think?
You know, with obstacles. So everyone has come up against obstacles, and last year was a huge one for everyone. And possibly last year rearranged a lot of people's lives.
Oh, yes.
And so I've learned as we've traveled these 2 years especially, is that there is a reason that that thing has popped up in your path to block what your intended destination was. There's something that's even better on the other side. So whether it's having to just take a break and pause for a moment, which that pause is very important, to be still and listen, but whether it's just that pause of, okay, well, I can't get there this month or even this year, maybe. What do I need to do right now in this time and space to keep moving? Or if it's a complete change of direction or a pivot, as a lot of people were calling it this year, or last year. It's just be open to those changes that come and realize that even though that was something that you thought that you were supposed to be doing, in our humanness, we don't always know what it truly is. Like I say, I know what my truth is, I know what my path is, but I'm constantly shifting. I wasn't planning on doing coaching, and here we are with my
Right.
group. And then I do every other month, I'm doing a 21-day journey with people just to help them process through things. And I've started getting some coaching clients. And so those things weren't in my plan. My plan was to paint pictures all day and then sell them, you know? And so it's just being open and trusting that you are in the right place right now, even if it doesn't look the way we wanted it to look. It's still where you are meant to be in this moment,
I love it.
as long as you're living in your joy.
Oh my gosh, that's so, so, so important. And so many of us don't even realize, and they don't think that there's an opportunity to actually live that kind of a life.
Right?
So for
Yeah.
anyone who's feeling that they might be stuck or that they might need that little push to get past that, what would you say to them?
Definitely make sure that you've found your joy. I know I've said it multiple times, and do those joyful things, and then open yourself up to opportunities that arise. So it might, like I said, I accepted an online teaching position. I thought I wasn't even going to renew my teaching certificate. I was so fed up with the whole bureaucracy of public education. But this school is solely online, and kind of for some kids a last chance for these kids to get their high school diploma. And so all of a sudden there's an art teacher position that I get to work my own hours. I do my own thing. I go in, I grade, I communicate with kids. it's a beautiful thing because it's so flexible. It
Right.
wasn't something I was looking for at all, not by any means. So just being open to what comes in your space and then see if that aligns with your truth and where you are hoping to end up in the long run. So that helped me because when I left, I was not making very much money on my paintings. That's why when my ex came home and said that he had started a relationship with someone else, I went, oh gosh, how am I supposed to do this on my own? I'm going to have to go
Right.
back to teaching. I was miserable, and I just went down the rabbit hole of there's no way, because I'd been told my whole life you can't make a living as an artist.
Right.
But you can. And
And you
every
do.
time, and I do, and every time I start to think, oh, we're going to have to cut back and start budgeting again, more work starts rolling in. So it's just, it's being open to those possibilities of, okay, that's not the picture I imagined,
Right.
but it is going to assist. I have a little, I guess you'd call it an analogy. I'm an art teacher, not an English teacher, but so so I heard how they used to capture monkeys in India and the Middle East. And they would cut a hole in a coconut and then put a banana inside that coconut and then attach that coconut to something so that the monkey couldn't just take the whole coconut away. And along comes the little monkey, and he reaches into that hole that's big enough for him to reach into. He grabs that banana and cannot get his paw out because he's clutching the banana. He's so focused on this thing that he wants that he cannot get free, and he's captured. How often is that us, where
Oh,
we are so focused on this is what I want my life to look like, this is how I have planned it, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going, and we are holding on so tight that we just get stuck.
mm.
Let go of the banana and be open to this or something better.
Awesome. 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 And I mean, that just, you think that just reminds me, it's all of the law of attraction, and what you're putting out there is what you're going to get back, and that feeling. And, I think we could go on to a whole other level with that.
Yes,
So
we
maybe
could.
we'll have to have another conversation. But I know I want to be respectful of your time, Jess, but is there anything else that you can think of that you could impart some of your wisdom, or anything that you haven't shared that you'd like to share you think could help someone out there?
Um, the biggest thing is there is beauty from the pain. So I have thanked both my ex and his mistress for setting me free,
Mhm.
because in that moment it wasn't a beautiful thing for me, but it allowed me to get back in touch with myself and really find where my heart was meant to be, and find an amazing human and find an amazing life and provide art for people that I would never have met. I got a job sitting poolside in the Keys. So I mean,
Amazing.
right? It's just know that whatever it is that you're going through right now, as long as you learn the lesson that you are meant to learn from it,
That's important.
yes, there is beauty on the other side. Now, if you choose not to learn the lesson and hold on to grudges and hold on to the pain, it's that law of attraction. More
It's true.
of those lessons and more of the pain is going to come. So learn the lesson, be grateful for it, and you'll find beauty on the other side.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My final question: what makes you sparkle?
Ah, living a life of my dreams.
Perfect. Yay. Thank you so much, Jessica. It has been honor to have this time with you. I'm so glad that we got to have this conversation. You are so awesome. And I just love following you. And maybe put your, what's your website for people who'd love to check out your art? And is your Facebook group open to people? You can share that here too.
Yes. Yes. So the Facebook group is open. It's private though. So you will have to search Unlock Your Dream Life and request joining. It's best if you also fill out the questions that I pose there, because you can imagine we get some random requests. And so make sure that you fill out questions and tell me why you want to be a part of this group, Unlock Your Dream Life. And then you can find my website just by searching my name, jessicatookey.com.
Awesome. That is fabulous. Thank you so much, my friend, and enjoy your, well, I guess a few more weeks, 6 weeks or so left for you to be in Maine, and then your next adventure. I'm so excited for you.
Yep, heading south to the Keys.
Woohoo! That is amazing. Thank you so much, and we will definitely catch up. And I do appreciate you, and I love you very much.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.